hour and a half show with two guys with a bunch of knowledge telling a bunch of truth of things that you may or may not want to hear. But here we go. Let's get a word from the sponsor. Then we will only be on Patreon and FGTV. One second.
Are you buying and selling cryptos on the same laptop that you're using to browse the internet, read your email, and visit social media sites? If so, you're exposing your cryptos to theft. Whenever you're online, you're at risk of getting hacked and having your identity stolen. How would you feel if someone stole all of your cryptos? What would that do to your finances? Guard your cryptos with a safe and secure laptop from CALIX Solutions. Each laptop is set up just for you and your cryptos, and then we walk you through exactly how it works. Don't risk the security of your cryptos. Order a crypto laptop from CALIX Solutions now to secure your crypto future. Learn more at calixsolutions.io.
Bye-bye, everyone but Patreons and FGTV. Bruce.
Sir Ben.
What's up, brother?
How are you, man? Very nice to see you.
Doing great. How are you?
It's I'm doing fantastic. It's been a little while since we shared the stage. I think that was Las Vegas back in 2018.
Yes. And it was a great. I think you hosted that, didn't you?
Yeah, I was one of the hosts, and I was the onstage MC. They did a great job. The Halloween, I think, is a hard weekend for everybody to do a conference on because people have family and everything else.
Yeah.
But if they wanted to do another rendition, I would definitely be in.
Well, I don't know how closely you've followed my journey here. And I have a club in Sarasota now.
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. We're opening another one in Nashville, in New Jersey this year. Next year will be one more in Florida, one in Texas, one in Dubai, and one in Australia.
Maybe one in Washington, D.C. or Northern Virginia would be a great move.
I would, but it's hard to build a building in a swamp.
It is the swamp. It is swampy out here, man. I'll tell you what.
And you're right in the heart of it, brother. Every time I see you put out a tweet, and by the way, if you do not follow him on Twitter, you guys are missing out on solid information. I mean, solid, take it to the bank shit. And it's out of all of Twitter, I would say you're one of maybe 20 people that I actually look at their page.
Thank you, Ben.
You can scroll through all the Twitter, but I check 20 pages on a daily basis. Yours being one of them.
Well, that's absolutely fantastic. I love to hear it. We've been in this thing for a long time. Back when everyone laughed at us. So I'm here in the DC area, and we were wrong forever. We were wrong. People told us we were wrong. It was nothing but a scam. I remember after it went to 8,000 or 6,000, then it went all the way back down to 600 or something like that. And that was just the worst thing. And now it's totally different, man. It is totally different. There's a level of respect that comes around, but it is such a dirty business here in Washington, D.C. And people ask me, Bruce, why don't you become more involved? But it's so dirty. it's so dirty. And we see, you know, some of the things unfolding now. I'm sure we'll unpack some of the stuff, but I mean, it's crazy, man. And, you know, you take, you know, where we came from, and it's just unbelievable. In my opinion, everything, you know, we had an overthrow there back in January 2020.
Yep.
Seeing how easily, agreed. Yeah. Seeing how easily it was done. I actually think we've been overthrown a few times. I think probably when it took off the gold standard, we had a overthrow. There's probably JFK was probably another one. These types of things have been going on, and it's as you see, it's not that hard, amazingly.
Yeah. I mean, when you have RFK saying that his uncle was assassinated by the CIA. All right. RFK is not a bullshitter. He's not a hype guy. He's probably personality-wise the opposite of Trump.
Right.
But when that guy says something, you know he's not bullshitting, and you know he's bringing receipts.
The man has got the receipts. He's got the, you know, he's got the experience. It's really it's an amazing thing. You know, Trump kept himself alive. And so I always said that, in my opinion, and, you know, everything, of course, is my opinion, but unless I say otherwise, and I say it's a fact. But, you know, he played ball to a certain extent. And I think that you have to play ball. I live here, and even I have to play ball to a certain extent. Me staying not involved is playing ball to a certain extent. Like, okay, yeah, I have a family. I have, you know, the wife. I have the kids. My kids play with these people. They do this. They do that. Now, we have a wonderful community, you know, here with, I could drop names, but I won't. You know, very, that we're able to rely on and lean on and call if we need to and support when we need to, because let's face it, that's what happens. And you have to be, man, you got to be big time in order to take those just thousands of bullets that come at you. Yeah. And I would say, just to close up that statement, that RFK is playing ball as well. So I'm watching him closely. He says a lot of very interesting things. And he's in a heck of good shape, which at my age I can really respect, because I
nothing but respect for that. He's a beast.
Yeah, you actually look great as well. Have you been working out?
Oh, I am definitely good looking. I completely agree with you on that. Oh, you froze up.
Am I back?
Hey, whoa.
Hello.
There we go. All right, I lost you for a second.
I should have good internet.
Yeah, well, powers that be.
Exactly, right? Well, funny now, we have the haze coming over DC as well, you know. Pretty interesting situation.
There's something to that. I
agree. I don't either.
Living here in Florida has given me the opportunity to build relationships that I didn't think were possible to build. And not that I'm on the inside of Q or anything like that, nothing like that. But, you know, you get a group of guys together, you know, having some drinks, you know, shit like that. And we talk. It's Trump's first, from what I understand, Trump's first presidency was to play the game enough so that the players reveal themselves.
I hope so. And you know, just to, you know, Q, I know Q. A lot of people don't know who he is. He came to one of my dinner parties there on January 5th, back in 2020. Showed up at my, I had rented a mansion, and anyway, he's a good guy. What is, you know, it's like anything. I feel, I don't know about like anything, but what it is there is you have a lot of people that are sending messages, posting messages, claiming that Q is the person that's doing it. And then you have the actual guy who kind of started the movement and is the person that most people don't even know who he is. And, you know, he won't shrug, but, you know, he'll kind of like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So that movement I also watch very closely, because who's controlling that? You know, who's posting that? Who, you know, leading up to everything that went on, why were they telling everybody that everything's going to be okay? Everything wasn't okay. Everything wasn't going to be okay if we didn't do something about it, and we didn't do anything about it. And look what happened. We have Sleepy Joe, and you know, I wouldn't be surprised if Sleepy Joe is passed away or something, and you know, because he's just, you know, really not cognizant, and then we end up with her, which nobody would have voted for at all. I mean, it would have been an absolute disaster, which it was anyway. But yeah, so I'm very, being here, you always second guess everything. And then as well, even if you have guys that are good guys on the inside, everybody has a price. And, you know, that price may be money. That price may be some stuff that they have on you. You know, you got a nice life, nice wife, nice, you know what I mean? And then, hey, man, it's all over if you do this. And I think that might have been as well what Trump ran into, because, you know, hey, he'll take the bullets, but he's got the kids and the grandkids and this and that and the other. And it's a lot of leverage, you know? And so everybody ends up playing ball. They come to DC, a lot of them with the best intentions. And I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do this. And I always say, I guess I'll just go ahead and say it. You know, they do one line of blow or screw the one blonde girl, and then it's over, man. You know, that's
You're
it.
Caught. Yeah. But it's true. Any area of influence, and Washington, D.C. is the area of influence. Everyone's got something on somebody. Right?
And
you can't have centralized power without centralized leverage. And that's where we're at now, but I'm tremendous. Trump is kicking the shit out of Biden on every poll. Right.
How can it? I mean, it's like the guy couldn't even get anybody to one of his rallies. I mean, the disconnection there, and the way that the media was so controlled, and that's why even like, you know, I've held on to this Twitter account for over 10 years now, 13 years or something like that. And to be honest, I sometimes I don't know why I was allowed to keep the account. And I almost even ask myself, because, you know, they run AI models, and you know, they fed our feeds before Elon took over. They were feeding our feeds into OpenAI. And so they have a profile on guys like you and me, and they believe that they know what we're going to do before we do it. And they're probably right. And so I've always wondered, you know, why was I able to, because I did a lot of the stuff that other people did. Now, as well, I always kind of tried to play ball. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. So the media, though, took that and ran with it. And you had people like us who, you know, anybody who was paying attention, who was on, you know, honest with themselves, knew that Trump won by a landslide. I mean, he won by a landslide. It wasn't even close. And then you had the media going out there, and then just the constant on and on and on, and lies and everything else. And and you see the persecution continues with Trump, and with really anybody kind of who is openly supporting him as well. I don't know if you saw, not to shift to Britain, but of course I was kind of really rallying back in the day for Brexit as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw Nigel stick
close. Now Nigel, I actually met him years ago. One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet in your life. Now, mind you, I didn't sit and like chit chat, and him and I didn't hug when we separated and all that. It was just me sitting there listening to him have a conversation with a few other people at the table. And my MO when I'm around influential, intelligent people, I have a hot cup of shut the fuck up. Because I know what I'm going to say. I want to know what they say. You know, you don't learn from talking to a smart person. You learn from listening to a smart person.
Absolutely. And, you know, those movements, that was basically the same movement. You had the Brexit movement over there in, I would say in Europe, because yes, it was the UK, but it was really throughout Europe. And you had MAGA here, Make America Great, with Trump. And of course, you have France as well. It's kind of in the mix. And of course, some other ones, Netherlands, places like that. But yeah, it's really an amazing thing. And Nigel has come over quite a bit. He's fairly involved in our politics. But, you know, it brings us back to the monetary revolution. And I talk about the monetary revolution on stage all over the world. And I actually I'm now talking to a lot of different conferences for the next 6 months. And I don't really want to, I'll do whatever, you know, I can moderate a panel. I can talk about AI. AI is also very interesting. Crypto is very interesting. But if they want a keynote, I want to talk about the monetary revolution, because that's what it's all about. And this started a long time ago, before most people even realized it. When I first got involved in Bitcoin, it was because Bitcoin was freedom. And that's, you know, you could have something, you could own it, you could memorize your secret keys. If someone put a gun to your head, maybe you'd give them up, but maybe you wouldn't. All right. You didn't have to. And they couldn't take it, you know, all these types of things. And that it took like 5 years for the rest of the governments of the world to even figure out really what's going on. And then it's no wonder that we see such a fight happening over the last few years. And then now, of course, they're kind of like, okay, we can't beat it, join it. But, you know, we have basically turned everything inside out. You know, I mean, back in the day, if someone canceled your bank accounts, man, that was it. It was over. And now you can really live, you can do things. Now, we need to go a step further and get it to where you don't have to turn it into fiat. And that's going to happen over the next few years.
Really, between you and me, I own all of or part of 11 companies. All right.
Nice.
Most of what I get paid in is cryptos.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And specifically Bitcoin mostly. If there's a second option, I go with Litecoin. It's just because that's history, you know.
Yep.
And I literally exist as an entrepreneur, mostly in cryptos. Now I do have cash that I keep for like emergencies.
Right.
I do have accounts for operating expenses outside of crypto, but the majority of my holdings is in crypto. And so I'm a living example that you can live outside the system. Now, is it as convenient? No, but freedom, you know, if that's the price I pay, so be it.
Yes.
You know, there's a lot of places I can shop online with my cryptos and get everything I want off Amazon. You know, it's
Yes. And you know, the banking system, this is controlled by very bad people. And you know, The same people that have been controlling it for a long time, a century easy, and they have been involved in all the bad things over the century. And, it's what funds the wars. It is what cancels the oppositions. It's, these are really bad guys. And it's not something that you really want to be involved with. And the last thing I'd want to do is have a ton of money sitting in the bank. Because it can so easily be taken. And I'm similar to you, of course. Only when I need it, you know what I mean? Yeah. Which is a lot because I do a lot of things, but you know what I mean? It is what it is. Ownership. I tell everybody it's ownership, freedom, ownership, and privacy. Those are the three things. If I get that we can all agree on. So whether even like I'm talking and you guys are like, oh, this guy's crazy with Trump and this and that and the other, we can totally disagree on that. Okay. And that's totally fine. I'm easy. I think you're easy as well. We'll be friends with anybody. And I'll even leave you alone about it unless you want to talk about it. But in crypto, we can all agree on those three things: freedom, privacy, and ownership. And that's what brings us together. And that's why we've been able to change the world. And that's what we need to come together on now in order to finish what is going on, what we started. And it's going to be hard and it's going to be very challenging. But if we always just realize that even if we disagree on this or that, or this candidate or that candidate, or stance or whatever, if we agree on those three things and we vote on those three things across borders and we support those three things, freedom, privacy, ownership, then we will change the world. We can save the world, because right now the world is in peril. The country is basically toast. I mean, I hate to say it, but basically.
No, you're right. There's no dragging this country out of the abyss. It has to crash, and we have to rebuild it. That's why I am launching all of my clubs all over America, because my clubs will help educate the local populace on the new system.
Yes.
And that's my goal. Me and my wife are good. We could walk away, live the rest of our lives, and be damn happy people. But we'd be in a world and a country of garbage. We would be part of the 1%, and then there'd be the 90% poor.
It's an amazing contribution. It's not easy, man. Starting a business, as you know, is not easy, period. And then putting these up, I'm sure it's heavy capital. I'm sure you have partners, but still, it's a lot. It's a lot. And then juggling those partners is a lot. You know what I mean? I know what goes into all that, but it's a lot, and you're doing it for the right reasons. And that's, that one of the things about the whole Q movement that I haven't liked is that they're always like, oh, well, everybody knows, but then nothing ever happens. Right. And so that's very frustrating for me. But everybody does need to know. And they also need a place to congregate. And that's one of the reasons why, if you look at what's happened, in my opinion, they've broken apart family, broken apart church, going to church, all these things. What do you want? You don't want everybody getting together, like-minded people getting together on Sunday and talking about.
Put your mask on.
Yeah. Talking about things you don't want them to talk about. You don't want them together. You want them to be separated. You don't want the neighbors talking to the neighbors and these types of things. So they're especially, it's really all over the Western world. Indeed, it's the whole world. We're more familiar with the Western world, of course, because we're Western. But the movement to break apart the family and break apart the structures that hold things together, not have big families as well, it's an evil movement, and it's on purpose. And that's what people don't understand. Oh no, it's not on purpose or this and that. Look, guys, there are people that are a lot smarter than you, that have been working at this a lot longer than you've been even thinking about it. that are doing these things. And that's as you get older, you think about how you thought a decade ago and how you think now, and how much smarter you are and how much more experience you have, and say, okay. And then as you get older, you're going to see these things more and more. And of course, I'm just talking to our audience at this point, not you. But that's it's important to understand that and know that. And one, you need to build the network of people around you, the people that believe in those three things, which I think your crypto places are going to help a lot with. And two, you need to communicate with those people and stay in touch and push what we know to be important forward.
Yeah, and along with my club, I've actually launched a television channel called FGTV.
Nice.
And I eventually, I'm actually bringing on like all of my influencer friends. Each one of them have a channel, and it's
amazing.
It's as I grow these clubs, my big plan is to have clubs in every major city or near every major city. And then each quarter or every 6 months, do a tour of those clubs where I bring me, I bring you, I bring other people, and we hit one each weekend for like 2 months.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And that way we have events where people can come and see us, and we can educate the people face to face, where they can meet us, they can shake our hands, they can actually look eye to eye,
So important.
That's so important that we quit looking up for help.
Yep.
That we look at each other. Who's standing next to you? That's who's going to help you. That's who you're going to help.
Indeed. And, the masks are off now. Back in the day, you can remember, it was like we had people didn't know. They were in Bitcoin. They didn't want it to be politics. Bitcoin and politics is, it's different, this and that and the other. But it is politics. It is. So even at the beginning, when I say, all right, I stay out of this or stay out of that, I'm deeply involved in the political situation.
And so are you.
By being involved in Bitcoin, by being involved in this monetary revolution. And the revolution is a peaceful revolution. We haven't fired a shot. We haven't done it. A lot of things that are normally involved in revolution, but it is indeed a revolution. And the fact that you're able to assemble such a high caliber of people to join you and to come and support at these different things is really telling, because now I guess that goes back to people know, right? Now people know. They know that the banks are bad. They know we're in these stupid wars, and the wars, it's just horrible, man. So many people, or I should say some people make so much money from the wars. And I know firsthand, it is huge business. It's huge business. And these guys, here in DC, I can guarantee you in other parts of the world that are in war zones right now, yeah, sure, the local population wants the wars to end. But those elites, they don't want the war to end, because it is just a huge money-making thing. And they're making so much money. You can hide the money here. You can make it erase here. You can double sell stuff. You can blow stuff up, tell them you need more of it. I mean, it's like leave it over in places and be like, oh, whatever.
when I was in Washington on January 6th, right?
We were both there.
I talked to a guy who worked at Halliburton, and he would say that the best day was when they were blowing shit up.
Yeah.
Because every bomb they blew up, they had to replace.
Yeah.
And he said it with a smile, and it really creeped me out because I'm like, damn, dude. And he wasn't a bad guy. He'd been in the business for so long that he had unplugged emotionally from his product.
Yep.
Your product blows people up. Yeah. Well, McDonald's poisons people. And I couldn't argue the point. I was like, well, shit, brother, you're right.
You definitely get desensitized to it. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I tell you, if I told you what I knew about the arms dealers that come here to DC, man, they sell arms to both sides. It's just business to them, and it's a horrible business. I think probably the worst business in the world. Matter of fact,
yeah, it's see, from my past and what I was involved with in my past, and I was low level shit. All right, I mean, I was nothing, but it's all the same game. You know, it's all the same game, and it is who you know and what you can provide for them gives you the value to them. And what I know who you know, or I know some of the people that know you. All right, so I know some of your network, and they are big players. You know, these are guys who fly on private jets. These are guys, they don't wait at airlines. You know, if they need to fly somewhere, they're a half an hour from jumping on the plane. They don't buy tickets. They don't. Hell, probably two of them don't even take passports. It's they don't need.
It's a totally different level, man. It is a different level, and that divide is becoming more and more. And you know, we've watched it happen over the last decade, and I don't really. The only way I know to stop it at this point, or to at least change it for you, is Bitcoin. And it's a crazy ride, guys. It's a crazy ride, and that's why they say hodl. Hold on for dear life, because, you know.
While I got you, like I said, I don't know everyone you know. How could I? But the people that I know, that you know, they're telling me that the big players are now getting involved in Bitcoin. And although BlackRock's a big announcement and all that, these are the people that have special accounts at BlackRock. Right? BlackRock has their normal accounts. Then there are preferred accounts, shall we call them. And those are these guys. And they're not going crazy like, you know, put all my money in Bitcoin. But they're going, you know what? Let's try 1%. I talked to a friend up in New York that that basically knows all of the liquidity pools of crypto.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he actually told me about what's being referred to as the 1% plan. That there's a large group of individuals that are using BlackRock and others to move 1% of their wealth into Bitcoin over the next 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
They want in before the halving.
Yes.
That's it. That's their instructions. 1%. But when you're talking 1% of $100 billion.
Yep. New buys, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's not like,
new buys.
this is like, you look at a guy like Michael Saylor, right? So Michael Saylor, I used to throw parties for Michael Saylor way back before Bitcoin. It's funny, every once in a while someone says, "Oh, I know Bruce, I knew him before Bitcoin." And man, you're going way back. I'm like, really? Yeah. You really knew me before Bitcoin?
Yeah.
But Saylor before Bitcoin, he always has thrown some big parties, and I have a history of obviously throwing parties. I do galas and stuff mostly now, but when he made that move, man, because he laughed at it really early on. It wasn't even, I laughed as a relative term. It wasn't interesting.
Yeah, he didn't have a reason.
Yeah. And now, you see that guy buying 12,000, 13,000 coins at 28 grand. Man, we were buying these things for $70. Okay.
Yeah.
$400, 700. I remember 600. We were like, I was paying like developers and stuff in Bitcoin. And we're all like, well, because it had tanked again. And we're like, well, in our minds, it's still 600. So,
yeah.
We'll give you 10 or 20 coins and, we'll call it even. I mean, it's crazy. But when you see that, and actually Saylor is one of the guys who has really opened up that market with these big guys, because they see what he did. And if you listen to him, and I'm sure we've all listened to him, the play he made on the Apple stock, and he said, I want to do that with the company. And so he has been really a pivotal force in putting that together. I would say almost the biggest Bitcoin bull, maybe the biggest Bitcoin bull. But when they're moving that kind of new buys, guys, at 28, I mean, guys, and I heard you earlier, I don't know if we're going to go to 177 next month. I think that if we go to 177, guys like you and me are going to be so wealthy that they don't really want that. So they're going to move it slowly. Well, I mean, you might never see me again if we go to 177 next month.
Right. If you think of the grand scheme here, they've shaken out the average Joe who owned, $2,500, $5,000 worth of Bitcoin. All right. You and I are not the rule. All right. You and I are the people that saw the long view and were like, oh, hell no, I know where this is going. All right. So now, and just like Michael Saylor, see, you don't think about money in two examples of life. Number one, if you don't have any money, you don't really value money because you don't know what it can do for you. And if you have a shit ton of money, you don't value money because you never tell yourself no. All right. Michael Saylor was in the second group for years, where he had money. He had $1 billion company, and what a lot of people see, this is why now I'm going to put this video out, and I'll send you a link where you can share like our conversation. But that's why initially I have this just on Patreon and FGTV, because I didn't know how far we'd go.
Right.
Right. So far, we're good.
Yes.
Right? But if you knew Michael Saylor before all this, then you understand that his parties and his circle are big players. They've been big players for years.
Yes.
And we are talking people that run like Vanguard. We're talking, other people that run billion-plus corporations. And I have a friend who lives in Scottsdale that this guy used to own banks. All right. You're rich when you own multiple banks. Sold all his banks, went into Bitcoin. He's richer now than he's ever been.
Yep.
Right. And he was at that level. Now he's, and in fact, him and I own a company together. He tells me now, he goes, now my wealthy friends are calling me. He's like, I used to talk to them, but they didn't need to hear it.
Right. Now
they need to hear it. That they're recognizing that 85% of the countries in the world are ignoring the U.S. sanctions on Russia. That when 85% of the world is not influenced by America, America's in a free fall.
And we have been. Yes, we are.
I mean, for Christ's sake, France told us to kick rocks.
Right. Well said. Yeah. We've killed so many people. And that's like another thing that, people, the average person around here doesn't understand. Most people, even if you've traveled a bit, they still don't get it. Like, we killed 500,000 people in Iraq. 500,000 people, man. You know what I mean? And nobody even realizes it. And we,
the only number we ever heard, how many of our soldiers died. That's it. But what we don't hear is, oh yeah, we basically destroyed a town the size of Chicago, and shit happens.
Yeah.
The amount of hatred accumulated over World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Korea, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, and there's so many people that hate us now that 85% of the world's like, kiss our ass.
Absolutely. And they don't want nobody likes being told what to do. And, that's one of the things before I traveled a lot growing up, or in my teens and 20s, but it was really my 30s. It was in my 40s now that I traveled to so many places. And, everybody's not like us, and they don't have to be like us. People like being their own way, and that's okay. It doesn't mean they're bad. It doesn't mean that living together is the best situation either, okay? But they should be able to be the way they want to be. and we should be able to be the way we want to be. And, you know, historically, we've had this attitude, and we still do, that everybody needs to be how we want them to be. And, you know, when someone makes you do something, you don't like to do it either. And so then they look over, and we're severely extended around the world. We have, you know, we're spending so much money and ammunitions and everything else in Europe right now and other places. We're weak. We're weak. We can't even we can't even keep Saudi Arabia settling in the dollar. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, come on, guys. We've offered protection for these guys forever. And I mean, I'm not, you know, I'll play ball. You know what I mean? I'm not saying anything bad about them right there, because why? They're looking out for them too. Okay. Yeah. So, but you know, we're so weak at the moment. And, you know, every time they needed a certain security system or arms for Yemen or this or whatever they needed, we're always there for them. And it's, you know, that's what happens when you have weak leadership. You know, Trump went over there. Trump went over there. He danced around. He waved the sword. And I thought, oh, gosh, you know. But he did deals. He got it done.
They loved him over there. I was over in friggin' Dubai about a month, maybe 2 months ago. They love Trump.
Of course.
It's friggin' crazy, because apparently he went over there and met with like a group of royal families. And these are the money people, right? And Trump went over there and he was respectful. He was fun. They genuinely liked his character. Yeah. And what I heard was that Trump didn't talk about his agenda. Mm-hmm. He didn't say, we'd like you to do this. Trump walked in with, how can America and you guys work together? How can we benefit each other? Let's work something out.
Like enrollment 101, business 101, right? What do you need? Tell me about yourself. What are your goals? And then you go in for what you need, right?
Yep. All right, this is how detailed Trump is. For those of you that have never, which is probably most of our listeners, is those of you that have never done a deal in the Middle East, they literally, one of the factors is they go off of how people smell. Mm-hmm. I swear to God. Trump knew and wore a certain type of cologne.
It's true. We call it the Sheikh's cologne.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. They all love it. They love it over there. And that is so interesting. I didn't know that story about Trump. Yeah, they must have loved it. They loved it.
Bingo.
Yeah.
But it's that little cultural, tip of the hat type of thing that Trump's good at.
Yes.
And God, everyone watching this, please don't misunderstand me. But how many of you guys watching even knew that was a thing?
Right.
That it's part of their culture. Because when the average American thinks that our way of life is just the normal way of life.
And the best way.
Right, and the best.
Right, and everybody should do it, which is fine if you think it's the best. Everyone should think they're the best, but yeah.
When I was in Dubai, the thing out of the whole trip, that I thought was the most amazing. We went to the biggest mall in Dubai. It's like 4 miles long, right? And I watched a guy that was cleaning the floor. We had just had dinner, and I was waiting on my wife, who was in the restroom. And I'm watching this guy. Number one, his uniform was pressed. And I'm like, huh, interesting. Then I watched him walk from one side of the hall to the other to his little push cart, get out a little broom and a little sweeper. And he literally went to the corner and swept the corner of between the floor and the wall, swept it out and put it in his little sweeper, walked back over and dumped it out. And I saw that and I'm like, wait a second, that's their normal.
Yes.
And that amount of pride in your job that the average American, we're lucky if they sweep the floors nowadays.
Yeah. Oh, listen, they mop the sidewalks. They mop the sidewalks. They mop the roads. Like, guys, you know, and then I go to New York.
The roads were amazing.
Yeah. And it's like everyone's, you know, sadly, it is a reflection on society. And, you know, we've really degraded as a society, and there's lots of reasons for it. I mean, a lot of it is, you know, you got to say our fault, maybe our parents' fault, and before that, letting things go on. But we're pretty nice people, you know what I mean? And we've had this kind of forced situation, and we have a lot of people here now that aren't used to some things like that how we would want them. And it doesn't mean they're bad people. They're just not used to it. That's not what they're used to. It's like over there, they're mopping the roads, and we would think, well, you know, hey, look,
that seems a little extreme.
But
also, not the whole time I was there did I see a policeman.
No, it's unbelievable. And you can leave your phone on the bar and go to the bathroom, and it's still there.
I was outside smoking a cigarette, and it was actually during Ramadan. All right. So you don't eat until after dark. Okay. So the streets are empty until basically dark. Right. I'm outside, and there's this group of men, probably 8 of them, and they were wearing the white, you know, garb.
Sure.
And one of them walked over, and we just started talking. And I said, do you mind if I ask you some cultural questions? I said, I am not trying to be offensive. I genuinely have the curiosity. And he goes, ask away. I said, where are your police officers? And he goes, no one's called them.
Yeah.
And I go, really? He goes, yes, we don't patrol our streets. He said, we don't intimidate our people with officers. If you need a police officer, you call them, they come to help you.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I go, all right, I love that concept. That's the old way it used to be.
Yes.
And I said, but what happens if you have like a fight or a murder or a robbery? And he smiled. He goes, I know you're an American. He goes, we don't have those issues.
Yep.
And I go, really? He goes, no. He said, and here's why. If you get arrested here, we send letters to every one of your family members describing your crime.
Yep. And then they keep you. They keep you too. And God help you if you did something like steal or something like that. I mean, we're talking, marijuana, guys, 4 years. Cocaine, death. Okay.
Yeah.
See, what happened somewhere along the line, we actually became the biggest police state. And I think it was when we decided to become the world's police. But it's totally normal for us. I'm sitting down in South Beach last year, and there's a cop over here, and there's a cop over there, and there's blue lights flashing, and there's a fight over here, and there's, and like, this is crazy, guys. It's crazy. You go down, you want to go out down in DC, there's no way you're not going to see the cops. They're there on every corner almost. They got the lights flashing in your eyes. You're out trying to have a nice time. And we now think it's normal. And then you go over and to some other place, let's just say I was over in Portugal, beautiful place, right? And you don't have that. And they're living more free than we are. We think that we're free. If you ask the average American, they'll tell you we're free. In those countries, they aren't free. But the truth of the matter is that they are more free than us. We have multiple, but we have agencies watching you that you don't even know about. We have probably all of them watching us right now, and you can't go anywhere and not have that presence there in the police there. And it's I don't know how. I do know probably how we have to fix it, but I don't think anybody has the stomach for it. And so we probably won't. And so I don't know how we get out of it. I don't know how.
I think we evolve out of it. And I agree with you that actually Bitcoin is the tool we use to begin that journey. Because
take the money.
Yes. A lot of the problem with our society, the tool used to corrupt our society has been the not honest money, the fiat money, because it's allowed us to have wars that if we didn't have fiat, we couldn't have.
That's right.
It's allowed us to infiltrate other countries that we could not have infiltrated or influenced.
Indeed.
And that shows you the purpose of the money. It isn't about a representation of wealth, because it's not an honest money.
Yeah.
If you have a dishonest money, it is to do dishonest things.
It's crazy. And then whenever they need more, they just print more. And if we actually had if we were using sound money, the war in Ukraine would be over. It would be over. Yeah. And it's unfortunate. I have a lot of friends in both countries, and it's unfortunate that the Ukraine they've really lost the PR war. They're not bad people.
They're done.
People just like us. The most of them, they got invaded. I think probably Putin was, on his medications or what he was probably taking some testosterone. I don't know why he decided it was a good idea to just invade them, and he really just blew up the world.
Well, I do actually. And I have this from a source that helped open the facility over there. It's because there were several bioengineering facilities.
I would argue that he's got them too. So I hear what you're saying,
right?
And I'm sure there's some over there, but I think in the big scheme of things that it was more than that. It was Crimea. It was wanting to have the land. It was, there's
no. This is not. This is about. Putin doesn't want more land. What he wants is to unite the Germanic heritages. He wants the USSR back.
Oh yeah, he definitely wants the USSR back.
Right, but he wants it under a not influenced by the U.S.
Well, remember back, what was it, 2014 when we overthrew the government back there? So, or 20 something, I don't know when it was. I was actually on my way to Kiev, as a matter of fact. And somebody sent me a live feed of central Kiev, and I said, "Oh, yeah, I am not going."
That was
this is more like 2019 or something like that, right?
No, it was 2014.
14. I was right. Okay.
Right. It was 2014, and the lady who ran it, her name is Summers. Right. They went in there and now mind you, I told you the guy I talked to helped open the facilities after 2014. They took it over, they put in their little puppet, and they started producing bioweapons in there. Now,
we have a lot of those as well, guys.
Oh, I know.
We have them planted all over the U.S.
Yeah, most of them in universities.
A lot of them in universities. How about the guy up at Harvard who just kind of disappeared from the news? He just got something let out or whatever it was. He was the guy who actually did the whole COVID thing over there, or sent it over. Or when he was intimately involved. I mean, that stuff just gets it gets pushed under. I think that the point of that, and not to go down the rabbit hole of, and I try not to as well on Twitter, because I do have friends on both sides. It's very dirty business. PR is the PR of the war is very dirty as well. But the point of me bringing it up was that, and I lost it again. I lost it.
I agree with you that Putin's not our friend. All right.
Right. Neither of them are our friend, really. None of them are our friends. No.
But the same groups that are killing America are Putin's enemies.
I would agree.
All right.
And he's probably easier to work with.
Yes. Yeah,
you know what I mean? It is what it is.
And it's just, and this shows you how weak this group is.
I remember why. It was the fiat money. That war would be over. It would be over if we didn't have this unlimited ability to just print money, because the American public wouldn't take it. And if we weren't sending all of that money and human resources in there and supporting that war, they would have to negotiate. And you may not like one side, or you may not like the other side, but guys, they're going to have to live together. They're not going to, one of them is not going to kill all of the other one. And, Elon said it. He says, I feel like after you guys kill, 1 million of each other, then you're still going to have the same result. And I agree with him. They're going to have to negotiate. They're probably going to have to give up some of those lands. Whether you want them to be that way or not, that's life.
Yeah, and it's the average Joe and Jane here in America. They hear about the war. They hear from the mainstream, and even people on our side of the news the alternative news. They don't understand it at the historical level, and they don't understand it at the power levels. Because most media people are looking at it from one level, right? And if you know people that are in the higher levels, they know what it's really over. They know the historical context. They know, because I've had people go, okay, Putin is working with the people who are destroying America. No. It's if all you understand is that George Soros is a bad guy, then you don't understand the structure of who really runs the world.
It's tough. People can't take the truth, man. I won't even say.
Oh, I know.
Like
George Soros is a bad guy, but George Soros is just a money manager. That's all he is. He's an accountant for the real players. And the real players, they're not playing for the headlines.
Right.
The real war, the real shit that's going on doesn't make the headlines.
Indeed.
All right. And like you and I both know that America has troops there.
Right.
And when I say troops, I don't mean they're military troops. All right. There are entities in the world that a great example of would be the Wagner Group. All right. The Wagner Group, in the grand scheme of all of the groups that you could work with to assist you in a war, Wagner is like the Dollar General of groups. All right. You're not getting the freshest stuff. You're not getting the quality.
Right. Getting the manpower.
Right. And that's why Belarus could go, okay, that was cute. Come on, fellas.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Putin's like,
wasn't
really?
that so interesting? So I went back and forth. I don't know, everyone's like, the whole thing was a psyop. I do think that the $6.2 billion had something to do with something. I will say that.
Yes, I completely agree. The 6.2 was to pay the groups.
Yes. And but as well, he's got, by all appearances, he's got a situation on his hands over there. And it may actually, we've in our lifetime, we've seen that whole area crumble before. And it could happen again. He's been ruling with an iron fist for a long time. But they would have something that we don't have, and that's patriotism. In the U.S., everybody, we don't do the Pledge of Allegiance. We tell everyone that we're all horrible. The company, which I actually think it is a corporation, but the country was started by bad people. They're evil, this and that and the other. And over there, they're telling everyone that we are the greatest, we are the smartest, we are the strongest, and so people feel pride. And even if we see it even with like Trump. Like, I don't like everything that Trump did. You know what I mean? I don't like a lot of things about Trump, to be honest with you, right? But I support the guy because he's representing the things that I value the most. He's pushing them, right? And so you have that over there as well, where people don't, they don't support everything that he does, but it's easy to turn a blind eye to some things as long as you're on the winning team. You don't want to be on the losing team. That's for sure. So you're in Florida.
Let me put it this way. You don't reach Trump's level if you're an angel.
Right. Well, absolutely. Right. And
right. Yeah. There's no one who has the power to clean up America that is going into the ring clean.
Yes.
Right. Absolutely. It's people don't understand. The average Joe, the average Jane, they live a peaceful life. They do their jobs. On Friday, go down, meet with the boys at the bowling alley. They don't understand that there's a whole different level. I would argue there's a whole different civilization above all this bullshit that average people see.
Indeed.
There are islands, like I was saying earlier on my last, there are islands that are out there that are on no maps. When you run the company that makes the maps.
Well, and now everything's on the internet. Like, how about a derecho? I never heard of a derecho in my whole life, right? A derecho blows through Northern Virginia, D.C. a couple years ago, blows everything down. They're like, oh, it's a derecho. I'm like 45 years old, man. Never heard of a derecho in my life. I'm like, wait, do we have like an old book, an old encyclopedia? Nobody has. Who kept the Britannica, right? Nobody kept them.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And then there's another one that they have around here, and I don't, whatever. We're just talking now. And then I want to ask about DeSantis. But we have what appears to me to be a new like species of lizards around here. Like, we used to have lizards, but now we have this little thing, and it kind of moves really quick like this and everything. Man, I've been in and out of this area for 25 years. I have never seen that. And I mentioned it to somebody, and it was on a board, and there was a bunch of people that commented the same thing. I've been living here my whole life and I've never seen it. Anyway, you're in Florida. I wanted to ask you about DeSantis. I know he's and I don't want to put you in a hot spot or anything on it, but
I'm good.
He's done a great job with Florida. I was a huge supporter of him until kind of he came out. There's a lot of powers. I thought there's a lot of money. There's a lot of stuff going on. I wanted to get your take on it. What are your thoughts on DeSantis?
Yeah, DeSantis is a game player.
Right.
He absolutely is. And what people need to understand, and you, Bruce, you'll understand this when I say it. When we say the game, there's not two teams.
Right.
Right. There's the game. You don't have the Cardinals walking out on the fields versus the Cubs, right? You have intertwined interests, and each player's intertwined interest are connected to other players' intertwined interest. It's why Trump knew Epstein. But once he found out who Epstein was, kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago and said, I want nothing to do with you.
Yep.
Right? It wasn't that Trump was involved at that. There's a big club, and most people ain't in it. But there's still a lot of people in the club.
Yep.
And when you're at Trump's level, right, New York real estate is the most crooked fucking real estate, maybe that in Washington, D.C. Ever.
Yeah.
You cannot reach Trump's level.
Right.
without knowing where the bodies are buried and probably putting a few of them there.
Agreed.
So,
and then building on top of them so no one ever finds them.
Right. So people who bitch about Trump, some of the arguments are valid. Trump is not this white knight that's ridden in on a cloud holding hands with Jesus. Right?
Not by a long stretch.
No. Trump is someone who has done bad things in his past. And so is DeSantis.
Mm-hmm.
But the things they did in their past got them to a place of influence to where as they got older, they had a soul shift. And they started, or he started looking at his legacy. And that legacy started that he valued it more than money. He values it more than money. And that's what's leading him now. I once said Trump is a devil with a hall pass from God.
Well said.
All right. Trump is not an angel.
And nobody can be there.
No.
To your point. You cannot be there. And that's like one of the things, and that keeps a lot of people out of the business too, man, because who wants to go into politics when they're going to, they're ruin the average person. They're ruin you. They're absolutely ruin you.
They're ruined because they don't know they're playing a game.
Right.
Right. The people who get ruined, who go to Washington bright-eyed and bushy-tailed,
right.
And you don't understand. You shake hands with the devil leaves a little something on your hand.
Yep.
Right? You shake enough hands with enough devils, your hand starts to look like a devil's hand. And that's what people don't understand is that, and the reason I know this is because of my past, because of agencies I dealt with when I was younger. It's just the same thing at a different level.
Yes.
And when I was younger, I was not, I did not follow the law, right? And that put me into places that I saw things that I couldn't not go against. And that's why I was never hired into what I was involved with, because I couldn't do it. I couldn't be a devil doing good. And that's what we have. We have FBI agents doing things the devils would do for what they think is a greater good.
It's unbelievable. And I got to say, I have friends in the force, guys, and there's a lot of great people. Yep. But it's we've gotten to this point, and the wars and everything else, it kind of feeds into it, like your buddy with selling the arms and everything else. You kind of become desensitized to it. But these agencies are completely out of control. They're controlled by really, really bad people. All of them, really. They spy on us all the time. They know everything about you. They know what you're going to do before you do it, as I spoke about earlier. And that, reining that state in is it's a tall task.
Well, it's not going to happen overnight.
Indeed.
There's a reason that the parent company of Google is named Alphabet. All right.
Yeah.
And there's actually several reasons. But if people understood how deeply surveyed we are, that you don't even have to be near a phone. You don't have to be near any. You can be out in the January 6th, when I was there, the guy who invited me, I literally showed up. I stayed in what's called the W Hotel.
Of course.
All right. It's right next to the Treasury Department.
Yep.
When I got there, 4 blocks away, I ran into the black SUVs.
Yep.
And they're like, "Can we help you?" And I'm like, I have reservations at the W. And they go, "Who made the reservations?" And I told them the guy's name. They go back to the truck. I'm sitting there. They come back. "Okay, follow us." Okay. So I go in there. I go down into the parking garage. I go up. I check in. I go up to my room. For those who don't know the layout of Washington, D.C., the Treasury Department's right next to the White House. Right? I'm literally a quarter of a mile from Trump.
Yep.
Right? You don't get there unless you've been invited on that type of, day right before a rally.
It was crazy.
All right. So the next day, I'm out with his right-hand man. And we're out walking around. The crowds were crazy. Right. And we were out up on this like little hill area. And I, because I was stupid, I said, "Hey, I know it probably doesn't matter, but should I shut my phone off?" And he giggled. He goes, "Brother, they don't need your fucking phone."
Mm-hmm.
He said, "We could be out in the middle of this field. No phones, no nothing. And they'll hear us clear as day."
It's all, that those 2 days, I mean, it was a setup from the beginning, as you and I both know. We were both there. I left when they started. It was funny. We brought the Global Boost mascot with us. So I'm sure in a bunch of the files they're laughing about, we got our coin mascot that we're running around with. The tear gas started, flying there. But I was there when they opened up the back gate. So I didn't even realize there was a front part at first. And then once they opened up the back gates, I realized it before that, but then I came back around. But I was there when the police opened up the back gate. I saw it with my own eyes. They opened up. I was like, what are they doing? Right?
Yeah.
There's total op. Those guys up there in the front making a mess. I mean, we've all seen the videos, and those guys, they weren't us, man. Those were more than likely our intelligence agencies. I put a video up the next day, and it's a 10-minute video. I got however many views, tens of thousands. And I just recapped kind of because I wanted to recap it. And, you're around the world and people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're saying that you were there. I mean, you realize there was like 10 million people there, right? Like, you know,
if you weren't there, you can't appreciate how many people were there.
It was unbelievable. And yeah, even that, yeah, it was a rough go, but to the point of, you know, everything being a setup as well. I mean, the guy that I mentioned earlier, who you mentioned showing up at my dinner party as well. I mean, I always kind of wondered about that as well. You know, everything is, there's a lot of forces out there that are implanted and doing a lot of things, you know,
yes.
Whether they're making you do
I
nothing.
love how you're dancing around.
Whether they make everybody sit there and do nothing, or, you know, they make them do something, or whatever it is, it's pretty interesting. And being here, of course, you see that quite a bit. I think the main thing is that we really want to, as a people, as a movement, really always support those three things that I talked about: this freedom, it's ownership, and it's privacy. And if we have freedom and we have ownership and we're able to do things privately, then we're going to be okay. And if we don't have those things, we need to always fight to have those things and to regain those things, because we had those things before. And, you know, 9/11 and all that stuff, which is dirty as heck too, by all looks at it. Of course, Elon doesn't want us talking about that on Twitter, but, you know, they took everything. You know, I remember being a teenager, I got pulled over. The guys wanted to search my car. I said, no. What do you mean, no? Yeah. And I said, look, I'm supposed to be able to say no. And so I'm just saying no to see what you guys do, you know? And they kept me there for 30 minutes and they let me go. Now you say no, man, then get out of the car, face down, buddy. You know, you don't have any rights anymore.
Yep. Let's see, what time is it? All right, I got one. I got about a half hour. I don't know how much time you got.
I have a hard stop, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. But it has been an absolute pleasure, Ben. And I
will definitely have you on, because I want my viewers and your followers, because we each have unusual knowledge and unusual point of views.
Indeed.
And when I say unusual, I don't mean like weird. I mean, we know more of the structure of it than the average Joe.
It's knowledge.
Yes. And you have a larger view of the structure than I do. And that's why I check your Twitter, because I can usually tell when you're putting out a tweet that a lot of people look at and go, well, I don't really get that. Well, it's because it wasn't for you, you know?
Yep.
And I, not that I want to name names or anything, but I definitely want to start laying out more of the system that we know about that others don't. And
Indeed.
Understanding the structure will help them understand what they see going on at a different level,
and help to do something about it, because that's you know, we're in this situation. So it is, you know, it was different for our grandparents, right? It was different for our parents, and now we're here, and you know, it's going to be different for our kids, and it's going to be either different better or it's going to be different worse, and it's our job to make it different better. And so, yeah, I'm happy to support. I think the new channel is, or the new station is really interesting as well. I'm going to know more about that. You know, we're around the world. I'll be in, headed over to Europe, but I think then we'll be in, I'm going to do WebEx in Japan. I'll be covering that live, as well as then the World Blockchain Summit in Singapore. I also have Hong Kong Blockchain Week. You know, a lot of these very Asia kind of centric.
I actually might be in Hong Kong. I don't know yet. I have a friend who invited me over.
Okay.
That's a long ass flight.
Oh man, I was looking at him today, and then so I have a flight actually to London in a couple of weeks, and I was like, well, maybe it'll be better. And then I'm like, oh man, I got to get my geography because no, it's not better. It's like
no.
I need to go to California first, and then go. Anyway,
all right. Hey man, Bruce, it was great having you on. If you're ever in Florida, give me a ring.
I will.
We'll go out and I'll get you a tomahawk.
I love it, man. And I can't wait to come and support your clubs as well. And let's
we have an event in September. I'm going to send you a date. And if you can make it, man, I'd love to have you.
Awesome.
If you can't, maybe we Zoom you in or something.
We'll figure it out. Where's that one, in Florida or in Jersey?
That one's in Florida at our location here.
Sarasota.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, brother. Great talking.
All right, brother. Bitcoin Ben. You're the man.
All right. Check him out on Twitter, guys. I'm telling you. All right. I'm going to send you a link so you can shoot this out over Twitter. I don't think we said anything that was.
I tried to keep things pretty. Yeah, I did. So Networks Manager on Twitter if we're still recording. But I do talk to everybody. Ben, I really appreciate what you're doing in the space. You're making a difference. It takes a lot of gumption and money and focus and all these things and relationships. So really appreciate you.
And let me know if I can help you with something.
Awesome.
All right, brother.
All right, brother.
Bye-bye.
God bless.
You too.